In this video, I want to talk about something that I think is really important. I did film this video like this a while back, but I feel like it was a little bit too long, so I just ended up not posting it. But I want to film another video, and this is talking about, I guess, what people call frame. I think that this concept of frame is very conceptual and kind of abstract, but I want to try to kind of break it down from a few angles and kind of make sure, like, you know how important it is and kind of what it means. So I believe, one of the first things to talk about frame, and it's not just related to dating, but it can be related to any setting. And that's basically that, typically speaking, when two people get together, it's kind of, or a whole group gets together, it's kind of one person is qualified and the other person is trying to prove that they are qualified. Or you could say it in another way, that everybody revolves kind of around one person. This would be the leader, and that leader doesn't revolve around the other people. It's kind of like they are existing in the leader's world rather than the other way around. For example, if there's a boss at work, it's more like the employees revolve around the boss. The boss is like the center of the universe and at that workplace, and the workers kind of revolve around the boss. It's not really the other way around. And the boss is the one that has the most authority. So when they say that something is a certain way, then that's typically the way that people will see it, right? So if the boss keeps saying that someone's work is not up to par, even if they're wrong, it's likely that they will create a culture of being right. Everything that they say will likely have the most authority, and people will deem what that person says is right. So this is really important, in dating, because I feel like as a man, or for women, their attraction largely comes from their looks, right? But for us, I don't think so. I don't think it comes mostly from our looks. It comes from more conceptual things like our authority, our status, our trustworthiness of our words, whether people can rely on what we say and whether they can trust what we say to be true. I think that's where a man's attractiveness comes from. It comes largely from the way he communicates and carries himself. And I don't believe it's all related to status. Of course, there's love and emotional intelligence and things like that related. But for a man to have strong frame, I think, is extremely important. And I believe women in general do try to break your frame. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I'll give an example. So even the other day when I was chatting with this woman a couple weeks ago, I was chatting with this woman who I have a crush on, and I was telling her about how I used to smoke weed and how I quit. And then she was like, like she was trying to break my frame. I said a truth, right? I don't smoke weed anymore. And she tried to break that truth and insert her own truth to be the new reality, right? That I am still smoking weed. And she was kind of joking, but you have to understand that she tried to insert her own truth. So if someone tries to do that about you, you have to now break it again. You inserted your truth, I don't smoke weed, and they tried to insert their own truth, and now I have to go back and break it again. The truth that they put out. So then I kind of, like, I don't remember exactly how I reacted, but I didn't get like super defensive. I think I was just like, nah, like no, that's not me, something along those lines. But I didn't get too defensive about it, because that can also make you lose some authority if you're getting too defensive. Because if you're the top dog, you don't get super emotionally invested in people lower than you. It's like a 50-year-old, you're not going to react to the 3-year-old that calls you a stupid, you know? Like, you're going to sit there and just be like, well, I'm not stupid, you're 3 years old, I'm way more developed than you. You know, so you don't want to react. If you want your frame to be stronger than other people's, you don't want to react as much. So I didn't react that much. I think I just kind of laughed it off. But nevertheless, I walk away with my truth being the one that stands, you know? So it's kind of like, as a man, you have to define who you are, right? And it's not always that people will explicitly tell you who you are. Sometimes it's just implicit. Like, you don't know how someone's gonna try to organize you into the hierarchy that they want you to be in. Like, it can be very implicit. It could be like, for example, your boss has you doing the easier work, the less complicated stuff, and has your coworker doing the more complicated stuff. So it might make you think, well, does this boss think I can't handle the more complicated stuff? So you got to think about it in that type of way. And I feel like, right, a man has kind of a duty to define who he is. And you always have to watch, okay, are people kind of trying to break my definition of who I am and basically bust it apart so that it has no validity anymore, like the way that you carry yourself and the way that you define yourself. And I believe that, you know, good women are not gonna do this that much. They're not gonna do it that, like, an excessive amount. Like, a really bad woman, a woman who is just all about her popularity, will probably just continue to try to break your frame no matter what. They'll purposely, you know, put you on their Instagram and then not follow you back because they want you to be their fan. You know, they want you to be looking up to them and trying to revolve around their life rather than them coming into your life, because they see you as having authority and being somebody of virtue and value. So yeah, I do believe that there are some people that just purposely try to ruin other people's frame just to make themselves feel like a miniature celebrity or whatever like that. But yeah, I think things get kind of complicated, and frame is a lot of things. It's your tone. You know, if you walk up to a woman and be like, hi, I know you, or like something like that, I don't know, something like that, like, she might think, okay, this guy's trying to qualify himself to me, when it should be the other way around. You could just say, hey, how's it going, to the girl, and then you guys feel more like you're on an equal, or like an equal level. And it's really complicated because people can perceive things a lot differently. Like, they might think that, you know, you're trying to get something from them if you're trying to qualify yourself. And also, it's just like, you want a woman to feel like your world is more competent than their world, like the way that you see things, because they're looking for a leader. Like I'm saying, like, a woman's beauty mostly comes from her looks and the way the soft nature that she acts in. Looks and soft nature. I feel like that's basically where a woman's beauty comes from. But ours is our ability to have this strong ability to define ourselves in a way that is valuable, virtuous, such as, you know, that you will not be easily persuaded, you will not be easily manipulated, you will not be too hasty, you will not give in to certain temptations and various senses like that. But yeah, I think that I mean, any man can do this. You don't even have to be good looking, like, or anything like that. If you can define who you are, like, really, who's gonna argue with you? Like, are they gonna say, oh, this guy is 5'5", so he can't be confident? I mean, even if they do, now you have a second job. You have to redefine yourself. Like, you have to keep defining yourself the way you want to be. And it's not, you can't just be delusional. You got to take advice from people. But yeah, a man has a really a duty to know who he wants to be and to be able to define that over and over again so that nobody can try to break your frame. I hope that really makes sense. It's really crucial, and it's just crucial for your mental health. Like, don't allow anybody to try to put you in a place that you don't want to be in, unless they are the leader, if they are the boss. Then maybe you can let that happen, but you can still fight back. And you can see this in many instances. It's like for example, in like the old love movies, like romance movies, or back in the day, a man will go to the father to ask if he can ask the father if he can marry his daughter, and the father would usually say no the first time. Imagine if the man just walks away and he just never asks the father again. No, he has to go back to the father and say, no, I don't agree with you, and I am the right man for your daughter, and this is why. See, they come back and they define themselves, and they won't budge. And then finally, in the end of the movie, the father says yes. So it's pretty crucial. That's how I define frame, and it's important. So have a good one, y'all. Comment, subscribe. I'm almost at 60 subscribers. I want to get a 60th subscriber. And peace out, y'all.